If you're a fan of Street Fighter or Megaman, then you're probably used to Capcom porting those games to every system you could possibly own. But if you're a fan of Cannon Spike, an action game that features characters from both of those franchises, then you're out of luck. It's been nearly 20 years since Cammy, Arthur, BB Hood, and even the Blue Bomber himself teamed up. And yet the only console this has been ported to was the Dreamcast. Well, turn back now if you don't want to know what happens next, because today we're going to spoil the story and all 28 endings found in Cannon Spike. This is Game Over, the early years. First released in arcades back in 2000, Cannon Spike is a strange mix between a shoot-'em-up and a beat-'em-up. It takes characters from Street Fighter, Megaman, Darkstalkers, Three Wonders, and Ghosts and Goblins. Yet, it doesn't actually connect any of these stories or worlds in any way. In fact, the story it tells in the instruction manual is laughably bad. It tells you that the year is 20XX, and that a troubled economy wreaks havoc on the world, bringing rampant terrorism, warfare, and yes, of course, fear. The World Union for Peace has assembled a team of fighters to wear these specialized motor boots to take on the threat and save the future. Yeah, this story sucks. That's just an excuse to see Megaman and Cammy fight bad guys in the same game. But hey, that's already a killer concept, so let's forget all that stuff about the anti-robot special forces and focus on the 10 bite-sized stages that make up this 20-minute game. So here's something you might not remember about Cannon Spike. Most of the levels are random. There's not really a set progression for you to go on, so let's just quickly race through all the important parts and get to the endings. Our adventure starts on an abandoned bridge where we shoot at the guards until a helicopter shows up. Then there's the Unholy Dwelling, the game's horror level filled with dogs and zombies. Oh, and there's also this mutant boss creature. From there we go to the occupied town, which is not occupied by friendly, happy people. It's occupied with mechs. The perished town brings us face to face with Balrog for the first time, as well as this two-wheeled tank thing. We're hitting the slopes next, where we shoot at these Metal Gear guards and snowboard down the mountain shooting at this robot boss. I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but we end up in a jungle filled with crocodiles. This leads to the uninhabited station, which is a dirty, dirty lie. Not only is it filled with enemies, but a train pulls up with an even bigger robot to fight. We win that fight and move on to the Geofront entrance, which has us fighting in an elevator, because it's not a real beat-em-up if it doesn't have at least one elevator fight. This brings us face to face with Cat Lady Beauty at the shrine, which then takes us to her boss, Psychosaur Sting. This whole fight feels like something directly out of Metal Gear Solid, which only came out a couple years before this. Anyway, the final stage has us going up against Metal Blade Nightmare in a secret base on a secluded island. We take down its health, but the robot boss is reborn as Flame Robo Nightmare. This sounds insurmountable, but it's not. It's actually pretty easy. We destroy the robot and save the future. Here's a collection of the 7 character endings you get by playing the game solo. Now, much like Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters, Cannon Spike offers different endings for the two-player co-op mode. With 7 characters to choose from, that means there are a total of 21 additional endings for us to talk about. But look, because I know you don't want to hear that song repeated another 21 times, I want to quickly, and I mean quickly, recap everything that happened in them. We're just going to go character by character and tell the full story, starting with Charlie. Alright, so Charlie and Cammy are ambushed by Kabuki, but Charlie tells her to escape while he finishes the fight. The island explodes. Cammy suspects Charlie is dead, but good news! He caught a helicopter and everybody lives happily ever after. This exact same scenario plays out 2 more times, both with Sheba and Simone. We get Kabuki, Charlie staying behind, the explosion, and then the reveal that Charlie is safe on the helicopter. Yeah, let's move on. So here we have Charlie concerned that the island is about to blow up, but Arthur has a plan. His armor is invincible, so Charlie gets to enjoy the explosion from the safety of the shark-filled ocean. But does that mean Arthur's dead? No, of course not, because like he told you, his armor is invincible and he caught a helicopter. The same thing happens in the Mega Man ending. Charlie is concerned that the island is about to blow up, but Mega Man has a plan. While Charlie escapes in the evacuation capsule, Mega will call for Rush and sky surf away from the explosion. We don't actually see Charlie again, so I'm just going to assume that he made it out okay. I'm not sure we can say the same thing about the BB Hood ending, where she ends up blaming Charlie for the explosion. This leads to her kicking him in the face, then in the butt, and finally shooting up the whole place for some reason. She screams about how everything is hers, and we see the fire in her eye right before the island explodes, presumably killing everybody left in the base. Next up is Cammy, who shares a lot in common with Charlie. This is going to be quick and easy, because her endings are almost exactly the same. Arthur tells her to escape because he's invincible, and then shows back up on the helicopter. Mega Man hatches the exact same plan, and BB Hood kicks Cammy into the evacuation capsule before shooting the place up. Yeah, we've seen it all before, so let's just move on. Now here's a familiar setup. Cammy and Simone are ambushed by Kabuki. Cammy does the Charlie thing and tells Simone to run away. But guys, Simone isn't having any of it. The two argue about who's gonna fight Kabuki. But look, he doesn't care, he just wants to fight somebody. The game ends with the 2 women ignoring him and fighting each other. Hey, speaking of sexist tropes, here's Cammy shopping with Sheba. I mean, she saved the world and all, so it's time for her to have some fun. And I guess that means dragging Sheba around all the shoe stores and, much to his dismay, using his board as a shopping cart. Oh, Sheba. Moving away from Street Fighter, let's talk about Arthur. Once again, we're gonna see a lot of repetition. He tells Sheba to escape because his armor is invincible. BB Hood pummels him right before shooting up the place. And Mega Man hatches the exact same plan, which makes me wonder exactly how big is that evacuation pod supposed to be? And I mean, couldn't he just survive the blast due to his armor being invincible and all? Yeah, let's not overthink this, just move on. So when it comes to Simone, she wants to fight alongside Arthur. The two battle it out until they think it's safe, ultimately retreating to an island. Armor promises Simone that he will always protect her, and then the two say their goodbyes. It's sweet. Oh hey, speaking of Simone, she knows exactly how to stay safe when the base is collapsing all around her. She teams up with Sheba, who shoots the enemies coming from behind as she focuses on the front. They made a great team, but Simone only trusts Arthur. Sheba is understandably hurt, but Simone reminds him that he's still gonna be useful when Arthur's not there. She's kind of a bitch, right? Yeah, I guess that makes me feel a little better when BB Hood kicks Simone right in the face and then knocks her into that capsule. Also, Mega Man hatches a plan to use Rush to escape, but you already knew that. In fact, you already know the rest of the endings. Sheba escapes using the evacuation capsule while Mega Man sky surfs away from the explosion, and BB Hood beats up Sheba before unloading all of her bullets into the island base. Oh, and just in case you're wondering what happens when BB Hood and Mega Man team up, well, he hatches a plan when she escapes using the evacuation capsule and then uses Rush to narrowly escape the explosion. And those are the 28 endings you'll find in Cannon Spike. Some of those are good, some are not, most are entirely too repetitive. Overall, I like the way this game concludes. I wish there was a more interesting story that directly tied into the different franchises, but these feel like classic Capcom endings, and I can't help but love that. So, say what you want about the 20-minute runtime, the confusing cast of characters, and the levels that are over before they even had a chance to begin. Because what Cannon Spike lacks in depth, it more than makes up for in endings. Lots and lots of endings. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Game Over, The Early Years. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. And here's the question I have for you. What characters should Capcom add to a Cannon Spike sequel? Look, Capcom isn't gonna make a Cannon Spike sequel, so just go with me on this one. At this point, I want to see Strider Hiru, Jill Valentine, and maybe even one of those monsters from Monster Hunter. Not the hunter, I want to play as one of the monsters. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we have a packed week in store for you, including a review of Renzo Racer and a special Metal Storm announcement. No, seriously. If that sounds good, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,